Problem 7109, for each problem below, decide if the situation is proportional. If the problem is proportional, say so, and then solve the problem using any strategy you choose. If the problem is not proportional, explain why not, and then solve the problem. Part A, Steve drove 130 miles from Portland to Tacoma in 2 hours. If he continues to drive at the same speed, how long will it take him to drive 390 miles? So for this problem, for part A, this is going to be proportional. So this will be proportional. And it is proportional because it says that he is driving at the same speed. So that means he's traveling the same amount for any given time. Now we need to solve the problem. So let's take a look at what we have here. Let's do distance over time. We know that he's traveling 130 miles in 2 hours. So we want to know how long will it take him to drive 390 miles. So I think I'm going to try a giant one for this problem. So we're doing miles on top and time on the bottom. Now we don't know how long it's going to take him to go 390 miles. So let's use an X to represent that. Okay, now what I need to do is figure out 130 times what gives me 390. So I see that 130 times 3, just by looking at it, I see, oh, well, 130, if we multiply that by 3, we can get 390. So I'm going to put 3 in. Now, if you don't know that, that's okay. What you can do is do that 390 divided by 130 to get 3. So if 3 is my numerator, then 3 is also going to be my denominator since it's a giant 1. So on the top here, I have 390. Now 2 times 3, that's going to give me 6. So x equals 6. Now keep in mind we are talking about time in the context of this problem. So how long will it take him to drive 390 miles? He can drive 390 miles in 6 hours. All right, and that's all we need to do for part A. So moving along to part B. All right, part B. At an amusement park, you pay a $15 entrance fee and then $4 for each ride you go on. How much will it cost you to go on 7 rides? So, is this proportional? This one is actually not proportional. And the reason is because of that entrance fee. It's because there is a $15 entrance fee. Now, if we didn't have that entrance fee, it would be proportional, but in this case, it's not proportional. So how much will it cost you to go on 7 rides? Well, for this one, I think I'm going to use unit rate. I know that the unit rate is how much does it cost per ride. Well, it's $4 for 1 ride, each ride you go on. So I know that 4 times 7 is $28. So be careful now because we want to know how much total will it cost us to go on 7 rides. So it costs us $28 for the ride charge, but then you have to remember that we have that entry fee of $15. So we have to do 28 plus 15. Again, that's $28 plus $15 for that entry fee, and it's going to be $43 total. So in this case, this one was a little more appropriate for using the unit rate. All right, that's all for B. So let's go ahead and have a look at C. Armando has collected 39 bottle caps in the past 3 months. At this rate, how many bottle caps will he have in 5 months? Is it proportional? This one is going to be proportional because they say at this rate. So that's kind of saying, hey, he's going at a constant rate. So he's, collecting the same number of bottle caps for any given amount of time. So we know that he can collect 39 in 3 months. We need to figure out how many can he collect in 5 months. I'm going to use the giant one here. I think for me this is going to be most efficient. So how many can he collect in 5 months? Months goes on the bottom, and we know it's 5. Now we don't know how many he can collect in 5 months, so let's use an X to represent that. All right, we need to use a giant 1 here. So let's figure out what can we multiply 3 by to get to 5. Again, rather than using trial and error, we can just do 5 divided by 3. It's going to give us 1.6, a lot of 6s and then a 7, so it's 1.6 repeating, we could say if we're rounding. So I'm going to use a fraction. A fraction is a little more precise, so I'm going to say 5/3. All right, so we'll multiply the top and bottom by 5/3. We know the bottom gives us 5. Now for the top, what we need to do is we need to multiply 39 by 5/3. And when we do that, we should get 65 for X. So he can collect 65 bottle caps in 5 months. So our X equals 65 here. 65 what? 65 bottle caps. All right, let's have a look at D. Okay, part D. The grocery store sells 3 limes for 99 cents. At this rate, how much will a dozen limes cost? So, let's see. 3 limes for 99 cents. You can I do think unit rate or a giant 1 would be good for this. So it is kind of easy to see. I'm going to use unit rate just to kind of get away from that giant 1 so you can see something different for this. So we see 3 limes for 99 cents. So if we divide that 99 cents by 3, I can really do this without having to do long division, but I know that it's going to be 33 cents for 1 lime. And then, so since I found my unit rate, what I can do is I can do 12 times 33 cents, or in this case, it's going to be 0.33, since we're speaking in terms of money. And 12 times 33 hundredths, or 0.33, is going to give me 3.96, which in terms of money is $3.96. So how much will it cost us? It's going to cost us $3.96 for a dozen limes. And I am realizing that I forgot to answer the question whether or not it was proportional. And this would be proportional. And why? Well, because every lime costs 33 cents, and it goes up by 33 cents each time. So it's going up by a constant rate. All right, finally, let's have a look at part E. So part E says, Margaret drove her friends to a movie. She drove for 30 minutes at 10 miles per hour in heavy traffic, and then she drove for 15 minutes at 40 miles per hour. So, how far did she travel in those 45 minutes? All right, first we need to determine, is this proportional or is it non-proportional? So this one is definitely non-proportional. Now, why she's not going at the same rate the whole time? Or we could say she's going at different speeds. All right, so we know that she drove for 30 minutes at 10 miles per hour in heavy traffic. So she also drove for 15 minutes at 40 miles per hour. So what we're going to do to find this out is, let's figure out the first part. So how far did she drive in that 30 minutes? So she's going 10 miles per hour. This is in heavy traffic. So she drove 30 minutes, 10 miles per hour. Well, I think for me, by logic, I know 30 minutes is half of an hour. And if she's going 10 miles per hour, then that means she would be going 5 miles in 1/2 hour. So for the first part, she's going 5 miles. And actually, I guess if we want to show our work for that, we could show 30 times 1/2 and 10 times 1/2 and 10 times 1/2 gives us that 5 miles. All right, so this first portion here is 5 miles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second part of her trip. So the second part of her trip, she's going 15 minutes at 40 miles per hour. So 40 miles per hour and 15 minutes. I know that since she's going 15 minutes, that is a quarter of an hour. So 1/4. So I'm going to take that 40 and multiply by 1/4, which is going to give me my 10 miles that she travels. So it's 10 miles in the second part of the trip. Let me write that in here. And 5 miles for the first part. So 5 miles plus 10 miles gives us a total of 15 miles traveled in 45 minutes. All right, and that is all for 7109.